What's kickin', generators? It's your gal, Jen, and today we are talking about map awareness. Claudette thought she was hidden. I lost her to the frickin' corn. Holy shit. Oh my god, she didn't even run. Oh my god, Claudette, you're a genius! So as you all know, I like to run meme builds, which includes the backpack nurse build, which requires 3 perks: agitation, iron grasp, and mad grit. This build only allows for 1 actually useful perk slot, and I don't really like to run it with barbecue chili. Unpopular opinion here, but barbecue and chili is a wasted perk slot. I don't need barbecue chili to find out where a person is on a map at any time. So the other day I was streaming the PTB because I was super excited about the graphical updates to the game, which is my favorite map for Nurse, and also Crotasprun Asylum, which is the Nurse's map. Duh. So whilst I was streaming, a viewer told me that apparently the surveillance room on the game had live feed of the cameras. Now of course I went and tested this theory in a custom game so that I knew where my friend was at all times, and unfortunately it doesn't appear that they have live feed.
Can you see me?
But it got me thinking about all the other information that a map gives you about survivor locations. Now, the easiest way to find a survivor obviously would be to follow their scratch marks, and this can be a form of map awareness as well, because if a scratch mark suddenly stops in the middle of the corn, that P3 Claudette, she's right underneath you. One thing that all maps share is the crows. Every single map in the entity's realms has crows placed in specific spots. I feel like a common misconception is that crows are only useful for information if you're running Spies from the Shadows, but this isn't true. Crows not only give you information about where a survivor is right now, but also where they were 15 seconds ago. If a survivor gets too close to a crow, they disturb it, as we know. But this isn't only good for Spies from the Shadows. It is also visual information. If you see the crow flying up, then you know there's a survivor there right now. It also works in the reverse. If you see a crow landing, you know there was a survivor there 15 seconds ago, as that's how long it takes for them to land. You can then follow a trail of crows being disturbed or landing to find your way to that survivor. Now you may be thinking, this is all well and good, but what if I'm not staring at a crow to know that there's a survivor there? That's where the importance of map awareness comes in. With the exception of the start of the game, you should be roughly aware of what section of the map each survivor is on. Storing information about which generators just got popped and what sound notifications the entity just gave you should tell you the exact locations of every survivor on the map. For example, if a generator gets popped on one side of the map, but you get a sound notification on the other side of the map, then you know where at least 2 survivors are. Memorizing each of these notifications, for example, where they happened and when, will allow you to rush over to survivors quickly and even predict which generator they're going to next without relying on barbecue chili. Then of course, because you know the general area they're in and you've rushed over there, you can now look at the crows to discover their exact location. This takes a little bit of skill and practice, but if you start noting each notification as they happen whilst you're in a chase with the survivor, you'll be able to more quickly find the rest. Now on to the fun stuff. Map-specific location alerts. I just made that up, so don't Google it, but trust me on this. First off, we have Hawkins' lab. Everyone knows there is a rat upstairs on Hawkins' lab, and if you go near that room, the rat will screech and make a bunch of noise. But what you may not have realized is that as the killer, you can use this to your advantage. If somebody goes into that room and you're downstairs, you can actually hear the rat going off. Now you're downstairs, so you didn't actually set off the rat, so that means there must be someone in the room. I've used this to my advantage quite a lot. I don't want to tell you which killer you have to play, but I'm just saying, Nurse has quite the advantage here. If you hear the rat in the room, you can quickly blink upstairs to find the survivor rather than going around on the stairs. Just saying, convert to Nurse. There is a similar mechanic on Midwich, but it only works once per trial. You may or may not have experienced this yet, as it is only once per trial, but there is a room on Midwich with a bunch of lockers in it, and in one particular locker there is a body. Now, living up to their horror game category, they have made this body a jump scare. Once per trial, when a survivor walks past this locker, it will suddenly fall out with a loud noise. Now what this means for you is that when you hear this loud noise, you know that there is a survivor in that room. It's very easy to distinguish this loud noise as being the body in the locker, because any other loud noise that could be made on the map usually is accompanied by a notification for the killer. For example, survivors missing a skill check, fast vaulting, dropping a pellet, jumping into a locker all give notifications along with their sounds. But this one locker jump scare doesn't give a notification to the killer, it just does the loud sound, which means that there is a very sneaky survivor walking through that locker room. You don't have to necessarily be super close to the room to hear the sound, but if you do hear it, you know there's a survivor in there, so you should go and find them. The bonus to this one is that the killer can't set it off, so you know it's got to be a survivor and not you walking by accidentally. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you today on map awareness, but I would like to add that whilst all of these can be extremely helpful to killers to find sneaky survivors, some of them can also help survivors find very sneaky killers. For example, if you're up against a Wraith or a Ghostface, both the Crows and the Rat Room on Hawkins will give you information about where the killer is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you know some other map-specific location alerts, then let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification to be notified every single time I post a video. I also stream on Twitch 3 nights a week, so if you have any more questions about map awareness, don't be afraid to come and say hi.